Hi everyone, we're at SSAS London, February 2024 in Mayfair, central London at Piccolino's. It's going to be a great event. I hope you're going to enjoy the content. You gotta love SSAS, and I'm a huge fan of the pension world, especially for property entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs that want to grow their wealth and become unlock financial freedom, as I always go on about it. So I hope you enjoy the content. Thank you so much. Hi everyone at SSAS London, February 2024. I've got GP, one of the regular entrepreneurs, and he's going to give us some insight. GP, thank you for a few words.
Great to see you again. How you doing?
I'm all right. I want to ask you about your latest big project that you got over the line, and you put it all across LinkedIn, which I saw.
Yes.
You know, it's a commercial property conversion, isn't it? Is that right?
This one was well, we bought an old tired Victorian 3-bedroom house in one of these terrace roads in Southend.
Right.
And we turned it into a 7-bed, all ensuite, co-living space, which is gonna be is already rented to the NHS. The NHS has got a very, very large demand for accommodation for their staff in the area, and there is just not enough of it. I don't know how often you spend the night out in hotels in London and stuff like that, but occupancy is through the roof everywhere you go.
So just breaking that down, because that's huge value. So you got an agreement with the council for each suite?
The way it works is we got an agent that works for the NHS and he sources the old property for the NHS. So we got one contract, and then the NHS is free to allocate whatever stuff they need. So it gives them the flexibility. It gives us, you know, a assured rent for the duration, and it's great.
5-year lease?
We start with 1 year and then it will go into 5. But to be honest, I kind of see this as an opportunity. I will expect rates. The rental will actually go up next year, given what's happening with rental demand at the moment.
Really good. And is it an FRI lease with the council?
It's an FRI lease.
Wow. Just for the audience, FRI means full repairs and insurance. It's more in the commercial world than the residential. That means your tenant pays for all the costs. So your gross and net is very close, as in the rent, and that's the difference maker. So GP, that's huge value, isn't it?
It's really good, and that was project number 1. We bought in April, finished in November. Tenants moved in straight away. We're refinancing this week. In January, we bought a much bigger house. That's been turned into a 10 or 11 bedroom, again, co-living space. And we're on the hunt for project number 3. We got viewings on Thursday. So there's a lot of appetite. There's a lot of demand out there for stuff like this. So we think we got the build team that can make the difference. And off we go.
Another question on that. When you did it, the investment, just some numbers, not exact numbers but percentages, did you get an uplift in investing in the property, or did you get a good value below market value when you bought it? Did that happen?
We bought it well. Part of being good in properties, having the right sources out there, the right contacts, the right leads. You're familiar with the problem. We paid $240 for the house. The all-in cost with stamp duty and legals was a smidge under $250. We spent $220 in doing it up, including everything. And interest on the project was about $25,000, so we're looking at about $495, and it's been revalued at $600,000. But I tell you what, if you came to me saying $600,000, would you sell it? When I look at the stream of cash flow coming towards me, I wouldn't. So $600,000, good valuation. Would I sell it for a price? No, I wouldn't. As my Bristow said earlier, you want to hold him.
We're going to get him on later. So the commercial property, was it a commercial valuation or a normal valuation?
This was a commercial valuation based on the rent.
So how much is the cash flow from this property?
The cash flow gross is 7 bedrooms at 700 quid each, is 4,900. Okay? Utilities, you pay for the utilities, so you got about 3,900 left in the as net income over a 600,000 property. Keep in mind, we're not in Middlesbrough, we're not in Darlington.
Which area are you doing?
This is Southend, Essex, where you got a certain level of general cost. So a yield of 8%, you wouldn't look at it up north, but down here it's strong.
But also, what he's talking about is also there's capital appreciation and the property cash flows. So when you do classic BRR, this is what it's buying, renovating, refinancing, renting. Right, you've got to make sure the cash flow is there, and he's diversified risk because of the FRI lease with the council.
And
I love
almost
it.
all of the money will be coming out in the refinance. So happy
Wow. So he's got all the money out and he's got it cash flowing, which is perfect. Love it, GP.
We're gonna
Thank
do
you
it
for
again.
sharing value.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Perfect. Hi everyone, got the main presenter, Mike Bristow. Hope I said his name right, otherwise he'll be upset with me. Here at SSAS London, he presented an amazing presentation earlier around development finance and how he's helping property entrepreneurs. Mike, thank you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about what you guys are doing at Crowd Properties, all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
How you guys are changing the world.
Yeah, indeed. Well, look, we've backed almost £1 billion worth of property being developed now, over 3,500 homes. We are passionate about backing small and medium-sized developers, and that's what we've built our business around. That's what we've built our people around, working closely with those developers to support their success. And that is how we're growing rapidly.
How do you differentiate yourself? Because it is a crowded space, literally. How do you do differently, and what do you consider a small or medium developer from a turnover or property perspective?
So the facilities we lend are anything from our smallest is 90,000, our largest is 9.3 million. Again, backing development of homes in
that's
the UK.
That's GDV, yeah, on the property?
No, that's the facility size.
Right,
facility
okay.
Size. So chunky facilities we can do, but we are very much in our heartland with small and medium-sized developers. And look, we compete against the banks, the non-bank lenders, to fund property entrepreneurs building homes.
Wow.
Right? And we are differentiating because we are property finance by property people. We really understand the vision that they're trying to create, and we support that. And we support the execution and the success of that.
What I liked in the presentation, and this stuck out to me, is you actually call people.
Yes.
It's not the computer says no. I'm someone who's worked in banking. I used to work for Santander, used to manage their cost base about 5 years, so I understand banking. And it's quite interesting how automation and the people relationship, i.e. human to humans, disappeared.
Yeah. We have tech throughout our business. We're running machine learning models. We're running AI throughout everything that we do. Okay, but fundamentally it's about people, right? So exactly as you say, people will approach us. They'll fill in a very, very straightforward application form at crowdproperty.com/apply in just 5 minutes, and then we'll do the strange thing as a tech-enabled business, which is call them, because we want to understand their vision and so that we can work out how we can support that vision, and that's crucial in unlocking their potential.
The people watching this on social media across the piece, one question they'll be asking, I always go to these development finance people, how will they help us? Is there a certain type of return on GDV is part of your criteria? If someone comes to you, how will they be successful in our application?
Look, so fundamentally, right, if you apply to us, you'll get two answers, one of two answers, right? It might be a no. That's okay, because if you come to us early before you spend too much time on a site and stacking it up and seeing if it works, if you hear a no from us, that's based on billions and billions and billions of pounds worth of applications. So do you know what? Don't spend more time on it. It's okay to get a no, right? Go and move on to the next one. Okay, and then if you get a yes, everything else you're doing, drop it, because it's hard to find sites that stack at the moment. And so the trick is, forget ones that don't stack, and then double down all your time and effort on sites that do. And we can support you with the confidence to either get rid or to proceed and focus.
I love what point Mike's made there, because a lot of entrepreneurs, developers, I find has a lot of sunk costs. And what I mean by that, they do surveys and all this, which they're not even getting a tax benefit on or nothing. They're just spending money, and the deal won't ever stack up. Yeah. So this is where we normally say right now how the world is, and I know you're saying it may be changing, is 30-40% GDV is what they should be focusing on normally to make a project viable, because the costs are still increasing and the prices are dropping. So when you got that, the margin, by the time it actually plays out, the time to selling it, year's time or 2 years, it may be different worlds.
So it's not always about percentage.
Okay.
So sometimes what you'll find in a more competitive market like London or maybe Bristol or somewhere like that, okay, is that your percentage margin might be less, but your pound margin might be great. Right? So you might only be making 18-19% profit on cost, but you might be making 200, 300, 400,000. right? Therefore, we see your motivation is fundamentally there because there's a big prize for you at the end, and we do want to see motivation. That's fundamentally the profitability out of it. But you have to look at both percentage profit and also pounds profit as well.
I think it's evaluating the risk. And I think that is where a lot of property developers, as you notice, they're quite optimistic, whereas property investors are quite cautious. I wanted to touch on property investment quickly before we wrap up. How do you help property investors? Because you mentioned property developers, but property investors are so key because they tend to be the demand. Right, so how are you helping them?
So in a few ways. So we'll support them on bridging quick purchases, things like that, or auction purchases. Very happy to work with investors on that front.
Finance.
So definitely on the short term, right? For buy-to-let mortgages, that's a competitive commodity market, right? And there are great brokers out there that will test that full market for you, right? And it's less important, okay, to really think about, right, how do they serve you? How do you interact with your development finance provider? How do how do they assess your progress and site, etc. There's loads of complexity that says don't just go for price on development finance. In buy-to-let finance, get a broker to get you the best price, and that's sort of crucially important at that stage of things. But one thing I will say is that investors, and quite wisely and quite strategically, are saying, I know what my customer, my rental market wants. I know what my competitors are doing. I know I can do better. I can build better product for them. So they might be doing more extensive refurbs, conversions, or even ground up to serve that market better. So they're doing a project and they're keeping it, and they're smashing it out the park in terms of record room rates, record letting rates, and making more money by being more strategic. So investors are moving more project and keep than just buy.
I love this, so much value. We'll put Mike's contact details and his organisation, Crowd Property, in the post, especially if you're seeing this on LinkedIn. Mike, thank you so much for the value, really
Pleasure.
appreciate it. You gotta love SSAS London. We have the legendary Dave Forde here, first time SSAS London, Dave.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, yeah? How have you found it?
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, I've heard Mike before, but he's brilliant.
Oh, he's huge knowledge. We had him earlier and we're going through stuff. I've seen, spoken to him a few people, and it's knowledge. There's so many different things you got to look out for. In this case, he was talking about development finance and how property entrepreneurs should use either short-term finance or development finance in an efficient way, and how to build that custom-made relationship. Watch the content on there, mind-blowing. We've got Dave Forde here, who's got expertise on construction. And I've heard so much, and last time we had him, it went absolutely viral. I was like, I've got to speak to Dave. And Dave, what is happening in the construction world that we got to watch out for these entrepreneurs, because they do struggle because there's so much?
All right, so one big thing people need to take account of is labour costs and build costs throughout this year. Now, there was a report came out early in January by the BCIS, and that's where all the RIC surveyors get their pricing information from. And what they predict is this year we'll see roughly a 1.9% drop in material costs, but 8% rise in labour.
Wow.
Also, there's massive turmoil in the construction industry with that IR35. A lot of the top highly skilled, experienced management, they're leaving. They're all going to the Gulf states and Saudi Arabia. There's a skills shortage at the moment.
Can I just jump in quickly? Because a lot of the audience might not know what IR35 and what Dave is. This is the rules that normally contractors, maybe IT or contractors worked in larger organisations, used to have limited companies and invoice and do that way and take on their own risk. What's happened subsequently, as you may have seen, good old Rishi and a co have destroyed that. So therefore, they made everyone go on PAYE, and what's happened is the tax is increased, but people are like, why should I work here? I've got a unique skill set. And it's really not clear who it works for and who it doesn't. I think if Rishi's watching, I know he does, you're still killing the economy. IR35 does not work. It is killing the UK. I'm being very clear on that. I know our friends at HMRC might not be happy with this, but it's a fact. I just wanted to clarify that. Sorry, Dave, carry on.
Yeah, and also, now house building is down. We know that. Big companies, big developers are saying we're not building, there's no money in it. So for smaller developers like ourselves, SME developers, they think, oh great, less house building, more builders available. But it's not like that, because government contracts are at record all-time highs at the moment, tenders, and that's down to that rack. Remember that rack concrete issue?
Right.
Where they found all these hospitals and schools that were potentially going to collapse, etc.
Wow, I didn't know about this.
Oh yeah, it was the start of the school term last September.
Right, okay.
2 days before the schools went back, there was a couple of hundred schools across the UK. They just said no.
Is this because of the foundations?
No, they built after the war.
Right.
There was short of materials, so they came up with this new form of concrete called RAC, RAAC, right? And it was only meant to have a design life of about 30 or 40 years.
Wow.
Anyway, we've gone past that now.
Wow.
And they're deeming all these structures unsafe. Now, so the government is putting hundreds of millions of pounds into this remediation work. So these builders that would have been in-house building are now going into that.
Wow.
So don't think that because there's less houses being built, there's going to be more labour available. It's not going to be like that. So you must keep your eye. You're in the construction industry. You're not in property. You're in construction. You've got to know this. You've got to understand the undercurrents and the drivers. So labour costs will go up.
I think we've also got shortages of labour.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to be careful with my words because we've got different views on Brexit, and John Howard obviously has different views than me as well. Do you think there's a challenge of people? Not enough people.
Right.
Whatever your views are on Brexit.
So there's a shortage. What they did, they said, all the East Europeans, you've all got to go. Look, a lot of them stayed, but a lot went. But
We haven't got new people coming in.
Well,
that's it.
what they're doing is bit by bit, they're opening up these new categories. So, for example, there was a shortage of bricklayers. Okay, we'll open up a special visa for bricklayers, and then it was this, and then it was that. But they're bringing them in from third world countries. Now, at least the Eastern Europeans were skilled, right? But when it's all said and done, we are still short of people.
I think where Dave's talking about, just for the audience, is about language, because when you have Eastern Europe, the English is quite prevalent in Europe, whereas you go outside Europe, English isn't, the comms is affected, therefore it affects, and also there's different quality standards in different countries. Europe and America tend to be more regulated, if I'm allowed to say that, and therefore the standards are a bit different. And that's why I think what John's saying, where there's different types of people come in who may not have that, therefore there's a time gap and a skills gap. Is that fair?
Yeah, right. So there's a skills shortage, there's a skills legacy with all the senior management leaving because of IR35. The knowledge is not built. The majority of the workforce in construction is approaching their 50s.
Wow.
They're all set to retire, and youngsters don't want to come in. So there's a shortage of apprentices.
Wow.
So you've got a perfect storm of shortage. Therefore, the people still in it are going to go, lovely.
Cost higher to do the work. Do you know what? Dave's explained that really well, and I hope you got his gist because it's so important. I'm seeing this not just in construction, across all industries, even in accountancy, tax. To get good people is so hard, especially in the UK, because the mindset, also what value in relation to the cost of having people from the UK. This is a big challenge, and this is why you have to be really careful and evaluate whatever projects you do. I think that's the gist, isn't it, Dave?
Yeah, that is. Be aware of this. Don't just walk along in oh, everything's great. I'm in this Facebook group. Everyone's making money. You've got to look at the undercurrents. What's going on in the background?
And Dave is active on social media, especially on LinkedIn, so you connect with him, he can give you insights. He does a lot of stuff. You'll see a lot of contact with him on there as well. He's done the Sky stuff as well, so it's always good. So you can use that content, understand it, and maybe contact him before consultancy as well. Dave, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Perfect. Hi everyone, SSAS London 2024. We've got the legendary Usman, Capital Alliance Specialist. Thank you so much. And we've got his mentee, Queen. Thank you. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yeah.
Perfect. Queen is actually coming a bit of work experience with Usman at the moment. A young entrepreneur, it sounds like. A lot of people don't do his final year of your degree doing accountancy and finance. an area that people know I like it a lot. So how are you finding working with Usman and learning about the trade?
I think it's absolutely amazing. It's been like really insightful. Even he invited me down to this event today to learn and see what people do in property especially, and I think it's been really helpful to like find out, and especially because it's so niche. And like I do accounting, so it's quite general, so it's quite really nice to see something different.
So you're learning the specialist aspect of capital allowances from the master guru there, but also you've been quite innovative and forward proactive, because a lot of people who are watching this, if you are wanting to get into any industry, do what Queen's done. Try to reach out. How did you get in touch with Usman? How did you guys connect?
I signed up to the mentoring scheme at my university.
Which is University of?
Westminster.
Wow, that's quite forward thing, because I find so many people are not proactive, because when you come out, you'll be able to talk about real examples. So, and you've enjoyed it so far?
Yeah, 100%.
Love it. Usman, how do you feel giving back to the community and also helping the next generation?
Yeah, it's all about training up the next generation of capital allowances specialists. Queen, I'm hoping, is obviously going to take part. There's no pressure whatsoever either which way. But ideally, I mean, listen, we're the old generation and we're going to be given the reins.
Don't know about old generation, but anyway.
I was only talking
a little
about
wiser, just a little bit.
So yeah, I mean, either which way. I mean, we want to train up the next level of talent, and there's people like Queen who are being proactive and coming here. I mean, she's probably one of the youngest people that's attended this event, to be fair.
Wow.
Not that we're that old, but
wow.
Either way, how many proactive, like 20-year-olds are actually coming here to these events, learning about property, taking that initiative? And she's come today, she's loved it. I've been watching her, she's been networking, she's confident. You can tell by the way she talks, she's absorbing as much as she can.
Wow.
She's learning so much about property, she's learning about capital allowances, and hopefully it'll be the start of this mentorship whereby we'll be taking her forward, she'll be attending meetings, she'll be attending site inspections, and we'll be going through the motions and hopefully getting her a role in capital allowances whereby she can spread her wings and add her own kind of touch in the industry.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff Usman's packed in there. It's all about ultimately people, because ultimately whatever you do, you have to be able to engage people, either to grow your business, scale it, get the right people, nurture, give back. This is what a return on investment is, not always in your pocket, but sometimes a return on investment is worked in a different way. And Usman's giving back to the community, and ultimately we're going to have the next stage of the talent of our country working forward, which is Queen. Thank you, Queen, I should say. Thank you, Usman. Thank you for adding value. As always, I didn't get to ask him about the service accommodation rules that are changing. I think next time, once he's dissected it, because it's still new as we're talking about, that's going to be huge, because that's going to affect the property industry quite a lot. Maybe I'll quiz Ranjan on the podcast about it. Thank you so much. Hi everyone, what an event at SSAS London 2024 February. Well, thanks to Dan Torres and everyone else for organising. It's been great. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please do like and comment below, and hopefully you're enjoying the entrepreneur journey. Thank you so much for watching.